Wow, guys, what a knockout by AJ. AJ knocks out Francis Ngannou in the second round, had him hurt badly in the first round. Could have jumped on him, but he decided not to because Ngannou was still swinging. And when he saw Ngannou wasn't too hurt and he was still swinging, he backed off a little bit. And shout out to AJ for just letting the knockout come. I know it happened early, but he didn't go after it at all. I think he only threw maybe three straight right hands, and two of them knocked him down. So he was just setting that punch up the whole time, and I saw it from the very beginning when those guys walked close to each other when the bell rang. Before either one threw a punch, I'm like, man, straight right hands wide open down the pipe because Ngannou's hands were very wide, and he was trying to just either counter off of a lazy jab of AJ or he was going to try and hook whenever AJ decided to throw a hook. Ngannou was going to hook with him. And AJ didn't throw one hook the whole fight. So Ngannou was waiting on that. He was doing his thing. But, I mean, the old saying goes, like, there's levels to this shit. Like, there's levels to this shit, dude. And, I mean, AJ destroyed him like he should have. I mean, I said before this fight, like, the odds for this fight should have been, like, 20-1 because everyone kept judging that Fury fight, even though I scored that fight for Fury anyways. But Ngannou didn't do much in that fight, and Fury, even if you want to say he's better than AJ, which I don't think he is, but if you want to say he's better than AJ, he's an easier style for a guy like Francis Ngannou coming over because Fury has no power really whatsoever. So Fury never got the respect of Ngannou. AJ didn't have to work very hard to get respect from Ngannou. He got it, but Ngannou doesn't have another way to fight. He gets knocked down, and yeah, maybe you should back off for a little bit and try to set up your offense. Maybe stick the jab, maybe jab to the body or something like that. He doesn't have it in his repertoire, and the guy's only been boxing for a year. I'm not trying to shit on the guy, but like, this is what it is. Like, he shouldn't have that stuff. He shouldn't, be able to do any of those things because he hasn't boxed his whole life. So it's just like I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised with how quick it happened. But when I first saw those guys, the stances just kind of match up. I was like, this might be a quick night. And unless Ngannou lands a Hail Mary hook or something like that, it's not going to go down his way. So big win for AJ. The undercard on this was a nice undercard. I only lost one fight on the undercard, and it was Lewis Green. I won all the other fights, and I got lucky with Ray Vargas. I had Ray Vargas, and he fought to a draw, but I thought that should have gone to Nick Ball. But when I score fights in my head, I usually do like what I score the fight, and then what I think the judges will score it, especially when there's kind of like an A side. Even though Ray Vargas was the champ, I thought Nick Ball would have been the A side of that fight because he's got a lot of hype behind him, and they were trying to set up Nick Ball versus Ray Ford. So I thought they would give him the decision, but they must have gave Ray Ford or Ray Vargas the first 6 rounds and then the last round. That's the only way I could see them scoring at 113, because that was my scorecard if I were to favor Ray Vargas. You would have to give him the first 6 rounds and then the last round because every other round was Ball. Ball had 2 knockdowns. I thought he won the fight. The scorecard on the screen was correct. I thought the 116, 113, I think it was, or even 115, 114. That's a good scorecard, but I think Nick Ball won that fight. Joseph Parker looked amazing. His Andy Lee should get Trainer of the Year for what he did with Joseph Parker. Even though that last fight wasn't in was it that I can't remember if it was this year or not, but like Joseph Parker in his last 2 fights, beating Wilder and beating Zhang, and the way he did it, he didn't lose too many rounds in either one of those fights. Yeah, he got knocked down twice by Zhang, but he won virtually every other round. The first couple of rounds, I think you give to Zhang, but like they weren't decisive. The Parker rounds were very decisive because Zhang couldn't do anything else. And I kept telling people about Zhilei Zhang. Like, I first watched him when he fought Jerry Forrest. and I was not impressed at all. He knocked Jerry Forrest down 3 times in a 10-round fight and got a draw. And, he almost died after the fight from dehydration. So, I mean, it just is what it is with Zhang, but that was a terrible matchup for him, I thought. And, he should be fighting bigger heavyweights, bigger, stiff guys. Like, he might have a more of a shot against Anthony Joshua than he did against Joseph Parker because Parker can move around. And that really frustrated Jaylee Zhang, and he just wasn't throwing the whole night. And it was because he was gassed. He was gassed after the sixth or seventh round. And I mean, he ended up losing a decision. But Joseph Parker's another guy. Like, he deserves a big fight next. I don't know. Maybe I know they have a rematch clause with Zhang. I don't see that happening. Because I mean, Zhang deserves a big fight in China. I know Bob Arum said like if Zhang wins, they're gonna have a big homecoming for him. Back homecoming fight for him back in China, and he deserves a fight out there. There's plenty of top 10 heavyweights out there who should be calling out guys like Zhang, because now Zhang is he's still gonna be in the top 10. He's a big name, but it's very easy to outpoint him. Anybody who's like kind of an undersized heavyweight, like Otto Wallin, you want to come back, fight Zhilei Zhang. Like, I think that'd be a great style matchup in Wallin's favor. I've never been that big on Zhang, but yeah, he kind of got a little bit exposed tonight. But it was good night for the heavyweight division because Parker looks awesome. I mean, Parker he's a top 5 heavyweight. He's legit now. And you got to put him up over guys like, I mean, I don't even know if Andy Ruiz is considered a boxer anymore, but you got to put him ahead of guys like that. And I mean, with wins like Zhang and Wilder, like those are 2 of the bigger wins anybody has on their resume in the heavyweight division. So it was definitely a good night of fights. Nice little thing to do on a Friday. The fights, there was kind of like a long time in between the fights. That was weird, but it was definitely a good card, and I enjoyed it. But let me know who you guys thinks AJ's gonna fight next, and let me know what you think Ngannou's gonna do, because I'm assuming Ngannou, you just go back to the PFL, but we'll see what he does. Guys, have a good night.